I like, click, subscribe, do all that. You already know what time it is. It's Netflix time. This movie's called Two Hearts. In parallel love stories, the lives of college student Chris and wealthy businessman Jorge intersect in a profound twist of fate. And this is based on a true story. Came out in 2020. It's about an hour, 40 minutes long. Spoiler alert, let's get it. So it starts off as a kid named Jorge playing soccer. Comes in, scores a winning goal celebration. But then after he does, he just passes out on the ground. Now you're thinking to yourself, he only came in for one play, so why is he so exhausted? Turns out he had to go to the hospital. Turns out he was born with 1.5 lungs. And they say he's gotta have this procedure and he might not last a month or a year. His father's like, yeah, they told him that when he was 10 too and he's still ticking. I think Jorge was about 19 at this point. But yeah, still, Jorge was able to survive the operation. And on top of that, he works for his dad too. His dad needed him to send a couple boats somewhere, and he made it happen. Originally, he's from like Cuba. He was this guy named Chris, just a regular guy trying to go to college, just chilling playing basketball. And his brother comes interrupting like, hey, mom and dad want you home right now, come on. See, his brother's real serious. He thinks he's just goofing off with his life. Chris is not even thinking about the future. He's just living for now in the moment. But he does get upset when he finds out he's not going to the same college as his brother. Dad's like, if you studied harder, maybe you get in there. So mom gives him some word of encouragement and all that. Now this is Jorge now. He's in his 30s, so he's still alive and ticking. Him and Chris right now are in present time. And he's had his eye on his stewardess the moment she walked in. So he sweet talks her on the plane and stuff like that. He just needs her to hold his hand until takeoff, because he gets scared on planes. She talks about this type of liquor that she drinks. It just so happens his family happens to be the owner of it. So basically they hit it off well. But his father wants her to stick to the business. He don't want him overexerting himself. Especially with females, especially with American females. Not my words, his words. He talks to those mans about marrying her one day. Turns out around that time, Chris finally does make it to college. And he bumps into this girl named Sam. Instant connection and all that. You already know what it is. And obviously he's all head over heels over this girl, but he ain't really said a whole lot to her yet. Somehow they end up bumping into each other again in her little stand. And she's got this safety buddies program. Basically, she's an Uber for people that are drunk and can't get home by themselves. The question is, how's he gonna drive people home? He ain't got a goddamn driver's license. So he plans to help her out because one, he really feeling her, and two, she needs another person because she's the only one doing this shit. Meanwhile, Jorge catches up with Leslie. He basically gets on planes to fly anywhere, but really he's just trying to fly around to catch her. But she notices he coughs a lot every time they get together. She's not being nosy, but she is curious. But he says he's all good and gravy. But we know damn well he's not. So anyway, Kristen made some safety buddy shirts. He didn't even make them, he just picked up some Hawaiian shirts. The point is they're just gonna rock them together. Then Jorge meets up with Leslie again in Hawaii, and she's got 10 hours before her next layover. Plenty of time for them to get together. They enjoy themselves on the beach in the sand and all that, but she noticed the scar on his back. At that point, she just came out and asked him. So he came out and told her everything about his whole backstory. And she feeling it. Leslie told Jorge she wanted to have a family one day, you know, dozens of babies and all that. Then he sings a song to her later on. And clearly they got closer throughout this time. Meanwhile, on the other side, Sam is waiting for a safety buddy Chris to get dressed. They get to talk and he starts going through a playlist. And then they actually get some calls. Picked up one, gotta help him puke on the sidewalk. Then they picked up another guy, he's just high as hell, he just wants some cheeseburgers. Then they picked up this one girl that just didn't have a ride, she was just chilling in the library. But before they went home, they all decided to get something to eat. And then they got to talking. So Chris is curious why Sam even started this safety buddies thing to begin with. So her backstory is her mom almost got killed by a random drunk driver. And she told herself if her mom survives all this, that she wants to do her part to help other people and keep other people safe. So it's more like a passion for her than it is a job. A very commendable and personal thing. They got their website popping, safety buddies. Obviously getting closer. So as Chris talks to his homegirl Sam, Dad's like, yeah, your grade's been slipping. You gotta get on the ball with that shit. Or you get cut off from the family. And at the same time, Jorge getting shit from his dad too. All over women. But he's like, fuck that shit. I'ma keep giving her the business. And on top of that, I'ma ask her to marry me. Serious business. And obviously she said yes. It might feel like I'm going through this fast, but they don't really give you any timelines on how this thing goes. You just gotta guess. Sam and Chris getting closer, and he lets his parents know he's been doing better at school thanks to his girlfriend. Then they decide to go to a clinic. And when he dies, he wants to be an organ donor, like all his organs. This is going to play a huge part later on. Then afterwards, they go on their official first date. And then finally gets the lip action. Then afterwards, she's already meeting the family. The family enjoys themselves at school. They're happy with Chris. He's doing things with his life. On the other side, Jorge and Leslie are getting married. They tie that knot in Hawaii. Now they're ready to go make babies. Now this is a turning point in the movie. He's always talked about being a fireman. He's coming up with all these ideas about being on the ocean, renting a yacht and all this stuff. And right while he was in mid-speech, he collapsed. They end up taking him to the hospital. What's going to become of Chris? The doctor tells us he had a brain aneurysm. I think it was like blood lossage in the back of his head. They're saying hopefully he'll be able to pull through. Then because he hears Sam's voice, Chris wakes up and he talks about this dream that he had. About being a butterfly trapped in a cocoon, trying to see the light and all that. And he tells Sam is one thing he wanted to do more than anything. Yep, after he's better, they end up getting married. And all that good stuff. Enjoying the time of their lives. And of course, so are Jorge and Leslie. Then eventually they get themselves a house. And everything's all good. As times go by, things are not so good with Jorge and Leslie. As Leslie looking depressed sitting by a baby carriage with no baby in it. I was thinking to myself, did she have a miscarriage? But there wasn't no blood coming from her. Meanwhile, Chris gets promoted from fireman to super fireman. I don't know the promotion titles. I just know he got promoted. And on top of that, finds out Sam's pregnant. baby boy and all that. On the other side, we found out because of Jorge's condition, he's not able to give her kids. He's blaming himself for the whole situation. He's like, yeah, I want kids, but if it doesn't happen, fuck all that. You my family. They gonna get through it somehow. Meanwhile, they gonna do Lamar's classes, babies and all that stuff. Jorge's getting sicker. As you can tell, they've been getting a little older throughout this time, which is kind of weird because Chris and Sam still look the same. By the way, they had their baby boy. Jorge and Leslie are chilling on a boat. Jorge's trying to go for a swim, but he can't even make it around the boat. He's getting to the point where he's gonna need another lung transplant, or he's not gonna be able to last another month. He gives her a birthday gift, which is not for another month, but thinking about the situation, he might not last that much longer. It's like, fuck that, we're gonna get through this. Chris and Sam chilling with the family, baby older than all that. Jorge's at the point where he's writing out his will. Leslie's like, look, it ain't come to that. We found ourselves a donor. You're gonna be good. But if they're gonna do the surgery, they gotta do it now. Because if they wait later, it's a good chance that he won't even be able to survive the surgery, let alone get his organ. They get him there, get him ready. She holds onto his wedding ring and is like, hey, it'll be here when you get back. You're coming back. Yeah, you gotta keep on fighting, son. Then as she lets him go, she looks down at the waiting desk. She asks the nurse who are they, and the nurse tells us families of other people waiting on transplants. Then we get Sam and his son coloring and stuff. Chris coming home from work, and he's enjoying his son. But this is the part where it gets really sad. Because the life he had to the point he got married on up never really happened. In fact, he never really made it out the hospital. And according to his condition, only 2% of people in the world that have caught this have been able to wake up from it. Everybody's just telling him to keep fighting, man. Then the next day comes. When the doctor says we need to talk with that face, that's never a good sign. Basically, the son has suffered brain damage and he's gonna die. He's never going to wake up. The only thing he's clinging to right now is the life support system. Which, unfortunately, because of the fact his brain is deteriorating, is pretty much a waste of time. The only reason he's even being kept alive at this point is so that his brother could get there enough time to see him. Then he gives him this heartfelt speech about how he treated him bad or whatever, but now he's like, look, I did it out of tough love. I love you. And the doctor tells his parents, I guess they didn't know at the time, but Chris had pledged to be an organ donor a while ago. His organs will be used to match 5 other candidates to save their lives. Yep, from all over the world. All his friends came out to support him, and the family's just glad they're keeping his name alive. So all of Chris's organs were donated. You could guess where his lungs went to. They went to Jorge to save his life. Now he's got a fresh set of lungs. Then we see the funeral being hosted for Chris. Yeah, man. So Jorge wants to find out who gave him those lungs, and the doctor's like, we can't give out that type of information. But because he got connects, he did give him some information. Then the family actually gets a letter from Jorge. They respond back and send a letter to Jorge. He's more distraught than anything off the fact that he has the lungs of a 19-year-old boy. I ain't gonna lie, the more I watched this part, the more this shit was making me cry, yo. And then they go to a hospital, and they actually met Jorge and Leslie face to face. Damn it, man, this shit hurt my heart, yo. I wasn't even trying to, and I couldn't stop crying at this point, yo. Then they did something that Chris always wanted to do. They got themselves a boat, and they named it after him. The last thing we see as an audience is a reflection of Chris in the distance, standing by the ocean. In 2011, Jorge and Leslie actually founded the Gabriel House of Care. They named their son Gabriel in honor of Chris, because Gabriel's actually named an angel. If you don't know what the Gabriel House is, it's actually a community of healing for patients and caregivers that are waiting for transplants. One of the websites is www.gabrielhouseofcare.org. Yeah, it completely messed me up when I found out Chris's life wasn't real, up until the point when he collapsed. If you can handle it, I say check it out. 2 Hearts on Netflix. Check it out. Like, click, subscribe, do all that. You already know what time it is. Slick, easy, out easy, mister. Big. Kitty goddamn slogan.